So good morning, everyone, those who are here physically and those who are online. I am Harvey Aronson, one of the resident teachers here, and we have our half-hour Sunday program before meditation on the first Sunday of the month, dedicated to teaching some basic Buddhist teachings. And right now we're talking about the boundless states, and those are the meditations on love and compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. In the Theravada tradition, the title for these practices are the divine abidings, the Brahma Vihara. In the Mahayana tradition, they typically more call them the boundless four, the four boundless states. In Theravada, it is a basic part of practice. They end up being part of the ethical and meditative tradition of Theravada. In the Mahayana, they are part of the ethical and meditative tradition that is oriented towards creating a motivation for becoming a Buddha and enlightening all sentient beings. We're talking about love right now, and I think often we as Westerners hear about a meditative practice, and we all have a little bit of, in our culture, muscularity. And I think especially when it comes to something like the practice of cultivating love, it's something to be cultivated tenderly and considerately, especially starting with ourselves. One way of thinking about the cultivation of love is that we're tuning into ourselves and we're opening a natural capacity of the heart. Especially in the Mahayana, there is an understanding of Buddha nature, so that it is understood, each endowed with a deep, enlightened nature already. That it's covered over is obvious, but the general thought, especially if you look at something like the tradition of texts called the Uttara Tantra, the Sublime Continuum, is that it's because we have Buddha nature that we are able to cultivate love. It's a kind of radiation out of that Buddha nature that makes itself known through our ethical behavior, through our compassionate behavior, and through our ability to cultivate love. I thought I would just say a few words, really very few, about what are the obstacles to cultivating love and compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity. Almost all of us in the West, at least, have had some challenges growing up. Some, and it's on a continuum. Some of us may have had great challenges. Some of us may have had few, but typically we have experienced as children some losses. There may have been some absences. A parent may have been ill. They may have needed to work long hours. There may have been unintended neglect, sometimes due to just our parents' capacity, sometimes, frankly, due to even the training that some of our parents took on, given the wisdom of the day. When I was born way back when. And when I took college psychology, they were quoting from the texts from the 40s and 50s. There was a line, something like, if when you put the little tyke to sleep and you can't resist it, you can give them a little peck on the cheek. So this was a kind of restraint that our parents were being encouraged to exhibit in the 40s and 50s. It took its toll. And then some of us may have been, for whatever unfortunate reasons, been exposed to emotional, physical, and or sexual misbehavior. With any of it, even slight disappointments, we develop armoring. We had to. And we learned how to protect ourselves. And we all come into adulthood carrying methods we devised for protecting ourselves, which were the best ways we knew how to protect ourselves as children. Sometimes that mode of protection carried into adulthood may even cause us difficulties. Something that we learned to do when we were younger may not be optimal for us when we are older. But many of us in our culture are very, very head-driven. We're kind of heady. We live in our heads. For many of us, opening our hearts is a challenge. And that's just the case. It's not good or bad. It's just, it may be challenging for us. Some individuals, just through a natural process of maturation, maybe their hearts open up. Some, through the course of spiritual practice, might find that their hearts open up. Some, for whatever reason, may find themselves in psychotherapy and might find that their hearts open up through psychotherapy. I think the important thing for every practitioner is to just sense themselves, get some sense of, is my heart open or not? And what seems to support opening of my heart? Everyone's going to find a kind of different answer to that. But throughout the practices that we're teaching, and it's true with our practice of love as well, what we want to do is we have a practice, we get some guidance, we take it in, and we see how it affects us. And we see if something we do one way seems to affect us in a way that seems to support the direction that practice is going in. Or does something we're doing affect us negatively, given the direction of practice we're going in? My own sense, working with practitioners now for several decades, is that it's very unusual for people to look to themselves authentically to see how they're actually doing in the light of their own practice. And just the question of, what are you feeling and what are you experiencing sometimes shocks people and they're left speechless. So whatever we're doing, I want to encourage you to be very, very open to your own experience. Might be neutral, might be negative, might be positive, but to actually be open to seeing, how is this affecting me? And just not having any judgment, but just taking it as information. See how you are doing. So I thought I would walk us through a bit of a guided meditation on love. I got inspired a bit by reading this article by Sharon Salzberg, Why Loving Kindness Takes Time. It's available online for free. It must have been in the Mindful magazine, a Mindful journal, but it's a good article. Why Loving Kindness Takes Time by Sharon Salzberg. So we're going to work a little bit with cultivating love, and I'll go through actually several stages of this. Ultimately, this is a meditation that's meant to be oriented towards all beings, boundlessly. And I may move a little bit faster than you feel comfortable with, and it's fine to notice that. You might on your own decide that, I think that I need to do this for myself for a really, really long time. Or you might find it easy and comfortable to do it towards one particular being. And you might spend a lot of time on that. But traditionally there is a progression, and I'll just run through that progression so that you just see what it's like. But again, for yourselves, you may decide, if you're practicing it, that you want to really slow it down and maybe spend a whole lot of time even just working with love for oneself, which is often a challenge for many of us. So, be in some posture that's comfortable for you for meditation. And your back straight but not tense. And your chin tucked in a bit. It allows the neck to elongate. If you want, you can have your eyes closed, or if you're going to have them open, try to maybe be looking down, but soft focus where you're actually not looking, your eyes are open, but you're not really looking at anything. And maybe to begin with, take a very slow and gradual breath in. A breath out. And breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. And I'll just say the word tenderness and see how that word just even affects you. Tenderness. If you let there be a kind of tenderness in your upper chest area, and the emotional heart center is the center of our chest. Just be aware of whatever experience you're having there. It's your experience. We're cultivating a receptive art, not a sculpting art. And very, very gently and internally hold the aspiration, may I feel safe. May I feel safe. And just sense that. May I feel secure. May I be at ease. May I be at ease. May I be at peace. May I be happy. May I be happy. Is there someone in your life not highly conflicted, but relatively easy, for whom you can feel these feelings? For some people it might be a pet. Some people it's a person in your circle, or a relative, colleague. Bring that person for whom it's easy. May this person feel safe with this being. May this being feel safe. May this being feel secure. May this being feel at ease. May this being be at peace. May this being be happy. How is this affecting you? And call to mind somebody who is neutral, perhaps somebody you run across in the supermarket or on the street or at work, but you don't really know them. May this being be safe, feel safe. May this being feel secure. May this being be at ease. May this being be at peace. May this being be happy. And if you can call to mind somebody with whom you have maybe a slight distance, not a major problematic person, but just slightly maybe distance, see what happens when you wish for them. May that being feel safe. May this person with whom I may have a bit of distance feel secure. May this being be at ease. May they be at peace. May this being be happy. And again, we're moving perhaps at a clip that you wouldn't normally do for yourself, but just to get some sense of the overall progression. We would end with the wish, may all beings feel safe. May all beings feel secure. May all beings be at ease. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be happy. And just allow yourself to feel into the quality of your mind at this moment. Whatever it is, just be aware of what your mind is experiencing. And when you're ready, you can just return to the room. Any comments, questions, observations? Anything whatsoever? Complaints? Yes. Barbara?
Thank you. I practice metta meditation a lot.
Uh-huh.
And I notice that at times when it comes to a difficult person,
Yeah.
I purposely choose a very difficult person.
Uh-huh.
And at times I struggle with that.
Yeah. Sure.
And so then I go into mind talk, which I shouldn't when engaging in metta meditation, but I notice that it can be a challenge to wish a very difficult person, and at times it's tied to politics. It's tied to politics. And it's tied to politics.
Oh,
And
okay.
I do make an effort in expressing loving kindness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just an observation and sharing.
That's real, and it's not easy. There are a number of, anyway, cognitive interventions that are available in the Theravada tradition. If you're interested, you can look in the Path of Purification. Some of them are kind of funny in a way to me, because they'll do things like, here's this person and they're really, really nasty, and aren't they accumulating bad karma? And just imagine all the terrible suffering they're going to experience in the future. Aren't they worthy of compassion? Now that's a lot to go through, and you could snag yourself on any number of those steps. I think one way to understand this is that we're developing a certain kind of affective muscle, and we also have sort of affective habits, and at some point maybe the positive spiritual affective muscle gets stronger than the affective habit. But what you're describing is not unusual to hear, and I guess I want to just normalize that that's, nobody said this was exactly an easy process. That's why she's saying loving kindness takes time, and she's talking about specifically it takes time to, for some people, feeling love for themselves is the hardest thing. For some particular kinds of enemies are the hardest thing. So I just want to acknowledge, yeah, what you're describing is real. It's part of a process.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Cheryl? Sarah, did you have something to say?
Oh, okay.
Neither of you? Anybody, anything? Are we on Zoom or just on YouTube? YouTube, yeah, so we don't get a chance. All right, well, we are actually at our appropriate time to take a break. I appreciate you all participating this morning. Yeah, thank you. We'll start a meditation in a minute or two.